Hello and welcome to the course, How to Turn Your Book into a Bestseller. My name is Bo Bennett. I'm the founder and creator of ebookit.com. I'm also an author, a publisher of 4 different books currently as of this writing and working on more. This course is all about turning your book into a bestseller. And the first thing we need to do is to define what a bestseller is. But before I do that, I want to define what it's not. There's a common strategy on the internet about getting bestseller status on Amazon. And it's this big trick where basically you just spam all your contacts and tell them to buy your book during a certain time period. So maybe 6 hours or within a 24-hour time period. And what happens is if everybody buys your book during that one time period, Amazon will register that as a bestseller, an Amazon bestseller, but for that time period. So therefore, what people do is they take that title of bestseller and then they wear it like a badge of honor and put it on their website. And basically, it's a little bit manipulative, and according to me, in my humble opinion, because you're really just gaming the system, and you're really not consistent with the definition of bestseller. I mean, in a sense, it is. But once again, it's really not. And what it really comes down to is how much money ends up in your pocket at the end of the day. And that's what this course is about. No tricks, no gimmicks. We're just talking about increasing your book sales so there's more money in your pocket at the end of the day as an author, as a self-published author. Now, if we're talking about a bestseller on the New York Times bestseller list, well, that's a different strategy altogether, and that's something very different. And trust me, if you have a New York Times bestseller, you do wear that as a badge of honor because it's incredibly difficult to get on that list. You are being compared to virtually every other book out there. It's a very, very large, inclusive category. And to have a bestseller, to have a New York Times bestseller, takes a lot of work. So we're not necessarily talking about that. If you look up bestseller in the dictionary, it will give you a very generic definition. A book that sells in a very large quantity. All right. Well, what does that mean exactly? What is a large quantity? As you can tell, that's not quantifiable. So it could be very subjective. What is a large quantity? Well, something that's large to me may not be large to you, so therefore I could have a bestseller in my opinion. And when it comes down to it, and unfortunately, that's what the word bestseller means. It is attached to a certain opinion, unless you are talking about a certain type of bestseller. If you're talking about a New York Times bestseller, there's very strict criteria for that. If you're talking about an Amazon bestseller, well, anything could be an Amazon bestseller, and that's very loosely defined, but there is criteria for that in order to say that you do have an Amazon bestseller. For example, if you have an ebook at bestseller, you have to be in the top 100 books sold on any given month, and then you could have a bestseller. So for this course, we are going to define it a little bit better. It's not going to be a very loose definition where anything could qualify as a bestseller if you think that number is large enough. We're going to be talking about a book that outperforms the majority of other books in its genre. So let me say that one more time. A book that outperforms the majority of other books in its genre. And that is what we're talking about, a bestseller. So let's say that there are potentially 100,000 books in your specific genre. If you're writing on biology, for example, if your book shows as being ranked 49,499, then you did it. You broke the top 50% in your genre. And that's a great thing. Now, there's many different categories in Amazon. And I don't want to play the game where you could say, hey, my book is number 10 on the bestseller list of Amazon in the let's say biology / cell / nucleus / and et cetera, category. Well, of course it is, because there's only 6 books in that category. And I hear that all the time. I hear people saying, hey, I'm so excited. My book made the top 10 in this category on Amazon for this day. It's like, if it doesn't even matter, yeah, okay. If you're saying that as a sales strategy, then okay, I can understand that. But if you're really getting excited because your book is not the last book in that category, well, I don't know if that's something to get excited about. And once again, we're not playing with any tricks here. We're not playing with the wording. We're not trying to trick people. What we're talking about is dramatically increasing your sales. And there are 3 key points that I want to make very clear for this entire course. The first one is you need to have a good book. If you don't have a good book, all the tricks in the world and all the marketing strategies and promotion strategies and everything is not going to do much. I mean, sure, you could get very short term and you might be able to, if you throw enough money at it, you might get enough people to buy your book. But eventually, if it's a bad book, people aren't going to read it. People are going to review it poorly and it's not going to do well. You need to have a good book. And that's your part. I can't help you with that. If you're not a good writer, or if you are a good writer and maybe just wrote a crappy book, then again, it's out of my hands. You need to have a good book. And really, if you're investing your time in this course or investing your money in this course, the chances are that you believe you have a good book. So I think I think we're okay on that point. So let's move on to the second point. The second point is there are no single tricks or secrets here to book success. It's not just a couple things. And again, this isn't any kind of trickery. It's not some kind of marketing gimmick that I'm throwing out there to try to trick people into making them think they could have a bestseller. I'm talking about serious strategies that have been proven to work, that continually are proven to work, that will help you increase your book sales. And there are many of them. Some of them might work for you, some of them might not. Some of them might work a lot better for you than others. And if the more you combine together and the more you actually do, then you are kind of creating a snowball effect where you're going to see your sales increase month after month after month. And that's a great thing. And that's what you want. And that's what this is all about. So if you are looking for a couple of quick secrets, you're not going to find them here. But what you will find is some really good strategies, and you will find a good explanation for each of these strategies, and not just the name of the strategy. I'll really walk you through each one of these to help you understand it the best I can. And finally, you need to do the work and/or invest the money. Now, most of these strategies and tips in this course are free. Are free in the sense that if you do not have the money, you do not have to pay the money. You can put your time and effort into these strategies more so than if you had the money. A lot of times with these strategies, you could actually pay somebody to do it for you, or you could hire a third party, or you could put money into it and really not have to deal with a lot of the work that goes into the promotion. So this course is geared for really but anybody on the spectrum. Whether you're all the way on one end where you have absolutely no money whatsoever, but you have a heck of a lot of time and a lot of motivation and a lot of enthusiasm, and you want your book to succeed. That's wonderful, and this course will work for you. On the other end of the spectrum, you still need the motivation and you still need the enthusiasm about your book. But if you don't have the time and you have money to invest, then great. It's going to be a lot easier for you. You're probably going to do better in terms of sales because really it takes money to make money. But that's not necessarily a rule in that you could also make money with your time. You can convert your time into money. And that's what we're talking about in this program as well. But if you have money, it's going to be easier for you, and there are a lot of techniques you could do to really promote your book that don't require a lot of your time or your effort. So that's what this course is about. It's about getting your book to outperform the majority of other books in its genre. And you must have a good book, And you must understand that we're not talking about just a couple of secrets or tricks here. We're talking about many different strategies, dozens of different strategies that will help your book hit that bestseller status. And you must do the work and or invest the money. And if you're okay with that, well, then go ahead and proceed on to this week's assignment and this week's quiz and continue on with the rest of the course. I look forward to reading your posts and to working with you. Take care.